All right. What is up, everybody? Hopefully, make sure this is loud and clear for everybody. All right. Yo, yo, yo. Check, check, check. Okay. We should be good. I'll move this up slightly. We'll see how that is. All right. What is up, everybody? It's good to be back. It's been about 12 days on the dot since the last live stream. So, yes, I haven't been live streaming as much, but that's also kind of been more on purpose. Like I've been telling you guys, I've been trying to balance live streaming as well as VODs and videos to upload as well, kind of balancing out, what we can try to do with, some other content on here for the VOD releases. And I kind of did that in May as well. And there's still plenty of live streams that are going to be coming from this summer. It is the summer of RE after all. Even if we don't have new stuff coming out, we do have some stuff to talk about today, obviously, on these Hangout streams. But there's going to be plenty of these this month and August as well, even though the summer is a little bit busy outside of the channel. I'm also going to be filming stuff for my film channel, Inocula Productions, which is going to be, focusing on a comedy skit this summer. So I am going to be filming that as well. But those are going to be very few and far between filming days. So, it won't really get in the way of stuff that I want to do here. But as far as, the summer of RE goes, there's going to be Biohazard. There's going to be Return of the Dice Lock from RE2 Remake that I still have to beat. And then just a bunch of videos kind of sprinkled in that I've had the ideas for that I'm going to be shooting probably this week and next week. I'm probably going to shoot them in bulk and going to release them periodically throughout this month into August. There's things that are coming up where I'll be away, or I'll also be, working Monster Mania, things like that happen every summer. But again, I always make sure that I have some kind of content locked and loaded, ready to, put out if I'm not around. So that's why the scheduling thing is a beautiful thing. So I can just drop podcasts or videos when, there's stuff going on. But the last 12 days have been very eventful, because within that was the promotion lead up to Keeper's Diary, a Biohazard Story. And I did 2 podcasts, 2 episodes. One of the podcast episodes is with JJ, Andrew Salo, and Beggy, so check that out. And then the other podcast I did, which was kind of after it released and we were able to kind of talk a little more about spoilers, I had Nuji from Resident Evil Challenger and producer of Keeper's Diary, Andy, also from Biohazard Declassified. So, hope you guys enjoyed those little pieces of content. That's like almost like 4 hours or 4.5 hours of podcast content, so not too bad in 1 week. So definitely have been, let me actually take these live reactions off. I don't know why they're on here, so I can actually see the chat. Perfect. But yeah, so I didn't want to leave you guys high and dry with no content. Obviously, I wanted to do some stuff. I was making hints that I wanted to have, Ro on and have, the other guys on. So that's what we did. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was very fun. And Keeper's Diary has been out for a week and a day. And as this is the first time that I've been live to kind of, talk about the reaction. Like I talked about it in the podcast episodes. Those are all pre-recorded. And then, of course, I had to do, a couple of videos, one of them being on Dead Rising, which was, what the hell was that? I just heard like a bang. But yeah, so with that, in the rear view now with Keeper's Diary being out for a week. It's been such an incredible experience, and it really is nuts to see. Like, if I look it up now, where we're at, we're at 170K, which is absolutely insane. So 9 days it's been out in total. Well, today's Tuesday, right? So yeah, 9 days. I thought it was Monday. But yeah, so 18,000 likes. I can't really see the dislike ratio from my end, but I don't have the plugin for my browser. But everybody commented on it that, liked it and stuff like that, and most of it it was positive. Obviously there was a lot of, some constructive criticism and stuff, but most of it has been positive, and that's all you can really ask for. I mean, obviously we kind of addressed those criticisms in the last episode of the LTRE podcast, so it was nice to have a podcast before it came out and then after the fact, when we were able to kind of look at it, like I said, from the rear view, so to speak, on the experience, but also how the fans were reacting within those first couple of days. Now it's been out for a week, so I'm sure more stuff will kind of pile on throughout, positive and negative. As far as negative, I say very loosely, because it's not like we've gotten much of a negative, kickback from this. It's really been overwhelmingly positive, and I think that's why we're all feeling very grateful. And I'm not going to take up this whole live hangout talking about Keeper's Diary, because we kind of already did that in the last 2 episodes, but I just wanted to give you my kind of off-the-cuff reaction to what you guys have been saying. Believe me, I've been reading all the comments, and, I was laying low for the live streaming for a little bit, because obviously there was a bunch of content I needed to get out there on those podcasts, and I didn't want to go live before I dropped those episodes, because then I would kind of be rehashing the same thing, where I don't want to do that in this episode. I'd rather just take, comments and read comments, and then obviously there is some RE stuff to get into. So I want to shout out everybody that's in the chat now. I do see you guys, so I want to thank you guys for coming in here. King Shadow, always here, man. RWK, thank you for still being a member, says what's up. Capcom Unity, what is going on, brother? Kenny Smith is excited to watch this. Thank you for being here. Joy Degg, DEGG, good evening. What's up? Capcom Unity says, what's up, everybody? Aaron, what's up, man? Hope all is well. Capcom Unity says, LTRE got hooked up with some pretty neat tools. Yes, so if that was you, brother, on Discord, yes, shout out to Capcom Unity. He has some stuff I'm going to be messing with as far as files and whatnot, and I'll kind of go into it more maybe once I have everything set up, but he's been really nice enough to volunteer his time to show me certain ways to get some of these classic seamless HD projects and everything from the Resident Evil space and putting them into one little umbrella. See what I did there? But yeah, so I want to thank him for that, because he didn't have to do that, and he sent me a bunch of tutorials. I'm very late to my Discord. If you guys may or may not know, I don't have Discord notifications turned on. I've turned them off a long time ago. It's probably for the worst, because I can't see everything that goes down in my server unless I manually go into it. But it's just because by the time you're in a million different servers and there's a bunch of messages, it is a lot to keep track of, and I already have so much notifications on everything else on my phone. So if I don't get back to you guys or see the messages right away, that's a me problem. That's just something that I have to set time aside to look through certain messages and stuff. It wasn't a problem years ago, but when things, there's more people and there's more stuff being put out there. So I try my best to stay on my Discord messages. So Capcom Unity, thank you for being patient. And I did read through all of them, and I really appreciate it, man. It looks pretty easy, and it just is more added on to, having stuff on your PC in one spot. So you can have your Resident Evil titles all in one spot, and it's a pretty neat thing when you see what fans are doing. So once I get all that stuff ready to go, I'll probably live stream. Whenever I do a seamless stream again, it will be running off of what you sent me. So I will definitely do that. Congrats on the Keeper's Diary, man. You all knocked it out of the park. Thank you, Caesar. I appreciate that. Thanks for still being a member. Thunders Productions is in here. Thank you. Thank you. What's up, man? Yeah, I've been reading all of your comments and, stuff you've been leaving on the actual video, the Discord, the social medias, all that stuff. And, yeah, I really hope that I made everyone proud with as far as my role in the film, because obviously there's multiple people. It's a big team. It ain't just me. It's not my film at all. But us coming together, as Nuji says, the Avengers, so to speak, of Resident Evil channels, all playing a hand in the pot as far as, getting this thing done. And, yeah, for me, being a first AC on this project officially, which is assistant camera, a.k.a. camera assistant, I was basically helping Nuji the whole time, in those rooms the whole time while we were filming from start to finish, helping Nuji with lens switch outs. We had these big Atlas lenses that were more expensive than even my car, and they are pretty insane as far as what they were able to pull off. So I was handling that. I was, using the Slate and stuff like that. So I actually have the Slate, which is something that nobody will ever have because it's mine. Here it is. As one of the last shooting dates on there that I'm keeping on there, 10/27/23, and this was the Slate. So my role in Keeper's Diary is, I'm keeping track of what's being written on here. And these slates are important because if you guys don't know film or the process behind it, essentially these slates are important to be in focus just like this for a shot. So when Andrew Salo, the editor, is looking through clips, they see exactly how the clips are marked depending on how I wrote them in. So I look at Andrew, he tells me, all right, this is going to be 6B as in Bravo, okay? Or in this case, what's on this, right? 6F as in Frank, whatever you want to say, right? Put 6 in, put F. If it's take 1, you put 1. If it's take 2, you take the 1 away, you put 2. You keep track of it. So when he's looking through the clips, he sees this, and Nuji tells me when it's in focus, you clap it, and also the clapping is an indication of where you want to place the audio sync, so it syncs up with if you're rolling audio. Now, for Keeper's Diary, we didn't really roll audio because it was mostly narration. There was a few things we rolled audio for, which was in the infirmary. We rolled some audio at the barn and at the kennel scene. But, yeah, again, this is a very precious item to me as well. So I was able to take this back, and it's my little prize for helping work on the film. And there's a couple things that were up for grabs, but obviously other people got some priority over it. But for this, what I got the Wesker Shades. That's right. These shades were on Oscar Mansky himself, a.k.a. senior researcher, or as the fans might know him as, Albert fucking Wesker. These are the glasses that he wore. So I was able to take them back. And again, nobody else will ever have these. So I like little items like this that are very just specific and unique to the time of filming. And yeah, so that was very cool. I was able to take some of that stuff back. And yeah, so that was what I did on Keeper's Diary. And then I was there with Callie, who did all of the behind-the-scenes photos as well that you've been seeing online. And it's been, amazing to also be able to kind of share this experience with her as well, because it was a very, once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience. We didn't know if we were going to be able to even do this again, So it's, yeah, I'm just very happy that it ended up how it ended up. And, yeah, I mean, I'm obviously open to hearing anybody's thoughts or constructive criticism live in the chat. I'm never going to be, angry or pissed off if people give me their honest opinion. and I will give honest answers. You know what I mean? So if people have anything that they want to mention, good, bad, in between, of Keeper's Diary in the chat, definitely let it be heard. I'm curious to see where a couple people are in the chat, because I'd like to hear some of their thoughts as well. Everybody in here, though, I've seen your comments. Capcom Unity says, I hope it makes more people write code with Python. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, he wrote code through Python to do the stuff he hooked me up with, and I don't know much about coding at all, but this guy is doing some cool things over there. So shout out to you, man. Josh Joseph says, I watched Keeper's Diary, and I want to say it's one of the best RE media I've ever watched. Hoping it's canon in RE universe, because it was so damn good. Congrats to you guys. Thank you, Josh Joseph. That's very kind. I really appreciate that. And I think a lot of people are very excited to see something that is just, a little closer to what they know of Resident Evil. Like Andy was saying on the podcast, it's a lot of comments are very humbling. People saying it brought them to tears, or, it made them want to, in a good way, not a bad way. It made them want to, think back on a certain time with their parents, with their dad, with their mom, with their family playing Resident Evil, because it struck a nerve with them, as far as like a positive nerve, so to speak, as far as the reaction, the way that they got flashed back to 1996 or 1997 to be specific with the timeline date in the actual game. So very, or 1998 rather, but very different from what I think a lot of people were expecting when it comes to how we were actually able to, pull off certain shots or pull off certain things, because a lot of people were expecting, all right, maybe they'll show more of Jill. Maybe they would show more of the mansion. Maybe they would, there's little things like that where I understand, budget comes into the mind of that, because you have to think, okay, how much can we show? How much can we build, right? So, yeah, for everything being a time capsule of the events that take place in the mansion of July of 98, I think we try to capture that vibe, that nostalgia vibe, very much so. Ken Wolf with another comment here says, hey Anthony, how are you? Great job. Solid 8.5 for me. You should get a huge funding for people to make a full film. Yeah, it's never something that's off the table. I think now that we show what we have done, you know what I mean, and can do as a team, no matter what kind of challenges that come in the way of the next project that we might tackle. It just depends on what they're asking for. I'm not sure really what the plans are fully yet, as far as like, what could be raised or what's going to be. But let's just say, stay tuned very soon, because I'm sure there's going to be some updates, we'll see if we can make the next one even longer. You never know. I know a lot of people want to see longer than, 13 something minutes. And it's incredible to see how much work goes into just a short film. I'm no stranger to how long things can take, as far as the start, the conception of everything, and the end of an idea or a project can take, a couple years sometimes. Just for like this took 2 years in the making, as far as from conception to teaser trailer to, crowdfunding to filming. So it's like films do take a while, and that's why, sometimes it just takes months and months. It's just how it is. Pizza Face is in here with the Leon and Claire emojis. What's up, man? Another member in the house. I think a good idea for the next movie would be a full reenactment of the liquor note in RE2. A lot of people are mentioning that. They want to see other file notes done. Obviously, for this idea, it just comes down to what Andrew Salo, the writer, director, editor, producer, all that good stuff, whatever he wants to do next for his vision as far as a Resident Evil film. What's up, Perry in the house? What's up, brother? Good to see you in here. Really appreciate that, man, with the $5 super chat. It's a great film, Great people. 10 out of 10. Congrats to Anthony and all involved. Thank you, Perry. Really appreciate that, man. There is obviously just a lot of people that I'm obviously going to thank. Perry is one of them. As far as always believing in what I've done here on YouTube, helping me out with the PC builds. A lot of this couldn't have gotten to the point where I could actually, do this thing on an almost full-time basis if I didn't have the right equipment, the right knowledge. So obviously Perry's a big one to shout out, and he's going to be helping with this upcoming build that we're going to be doing probably by the end of the summer, whether it's, late August or early September at this point. That's the plan anyway, but I know Perry might think otherwise, but hopefully it's getting to the wire now, basically, of just got to push through these last few expenses and get it all in. And then once all the products are in, I already have, the RAM in, the processor, I got the motherboard on the way, and then the case was here, but I moved it. But yeah, I showed you guys on the Game Complainers podcast. So the PC build is coming, and we'll be able to do more stuff. Yeah, so gonna try to get all that stuff done. And we can do more mods. We could do more just content that is, a little more mod heavy, where it requires a PC that's, I want to, not just mods, but I don't know, just more efficient, just editing, 4K stuff. It's going to be such a night and day comparison, when I'm on this next build. And this has been a year in the making as well. I mean, obviously, last summer is when I started to piece together the option for the PC. And you guys have been donating, all year round, basically, to help with this PC. Obviously, not 100% of the funds go towards the PC because, this is what I do. So I need to obviously pay bills, do other things that I have to, it's always like what you can save from what I make from doing content here, doing video editing, the things that I do, not 100% of the proceeds. So I wish, if I could have turned around this build in 3 months from last summer right into the fall, that would have been the ideal situation. But when you're trying to spend around $2-ish grand on a computer, this thing isn't a $600 build. You know what I mean? This takes time. This is an investment. It's for work. It is for the future of what I do. It's going to hopefully last me another 10 years like this one. So it's important. It's an important step. So I know that once we're across that finish line with the PC, everything else will fall into place. I don't have to stop live streaming until then. I don't have to stop doing video ideas. The PC is not really hurting my content flow that I'm on right now as far as the PC that I'm on. Is it older? Yes. But right now, at the rate that I'm doing stuff, it's not stunting me. If it was, I would have just been we got to do this right now. My PC's completely dead. But we were able to kind of get, obviously some stuff figured out for me to just use it while I'm in this period of getting the rest of the stuff. So that is also in the books. I just want to let that be known because you guys are rightfully so asking about when that's going to happen. And you bet your ass it will be live streamed right here on the channel. Perry will be building it. I will be working the camera for him while he's live streaming and also manning the chat. And yeah, so when you guys know it's happening, there will be an event. We'll talk about it on Game Complainers. All that stuff will be filled in. So don't worry about not knowing when the build's going to happen. You will know. Oh my God. Yeah, you guys are talking about the heat. It is hot right now. You are right. Let me catch up on some comments again. Thank you, Perry, for the $5. Appreciate that. Keeper's Diary took one diary from an RE game and turned it into the best adaptation ever made. Well done to you who are all involved. Classic hits. Thank you. No, comments like that are really humbling, honestly, because we were just a bunch of indie filmmakers that, kind of like what Andy said on the podcast, you really got to step up to the plate. And it's not just about, all right, Resident Evil channels getting together and now everything else is gravy. No, we really had to bring our A game. We need to actually step up to the plate and we needed to hit that home run, so to speak, because it's true. It really isn't just like, all right, get together and this is it. It's like a lot of people that were on the set, it was the first time being involved in a film like that. Even for me, who I've been on, other people's sets or films before and have worked on my own, I've never worked in a condition like this before, where it was long days like that, a very structured team of people. So it really was a first time for a lot of us. The industry experience, obviously, Andrew had industry experience. Nuji is an award-winning cinematographer, so he has industry experience, but a lot of us didn't. So coming together to actually do this to get even more experience on top of maybe, the films that I've shot or the projects that other people in that circle might have worked on, this was a big, step, I guess, in the right direction. Yes, RWK, it will be a live PC build. We'll be at Perry's shop, and we will be streaming that. You guys will know. So, so when we get in a full movie-length version of Keeper's Diary, the fans demand it. That's true, Lucius. A lot of people are asking about that, Lucius. I hope so. I really hope so. Whether it's a feature just based off of this, or maybe one day we can do a Resident Evil, one fan film that is a whole RE1 like thing. You never know. You don't want to jump the gun. You don't want to assume, right, that you could just do whatever after this. You want to still build, right? So even if the next project is longer, but it's still maybe not quite the length of a feature, because a feature is typically like 85 minutes. Right? 85 to 90 minutes, hour and a half, hour 20. That's like your feature sweet spot, right? If you go over that, then you really got to pack on more of a structure so you don't lose people's interest. And if it shows you how much work this took just for a short film, feature films take years sometimes of filming, or 8 months out of the year of filming, right? So it's a big chunk of your life that you're dedicating to a feature film. That's why sometimes it takes feature films forever to come out, or they don't come out at all, because it really is such an amazing process. But yeah, it's incredible to see it all come together. Let's see. Angie says, how's it going, everyone, this blazing hot day? It is hot. Thank you for being a member. Appreciate that. It's hot as hell. Fire Stick Xbox video tonight. All right, Perry. Yeah, Perry has a bone to pick with the Microsoft Xbox update, with having the Xbox app available. That's not the problem. It's the fact that you need all updated Fire Sticks to do it. So what the hell? So if your Fire TV that you bought from, let's say, Best Buy, right? You've bought a cheaper TV and it's a Fire TV. Can that not be updated? Is that like locked out? I'm very curious. But Perry's going to cover a lot that we're going to talk about that on Wednesday anyway. Scoundrel on YouTube says, so what happened to the set you guys built? Do you have to tear it down or throw it away? So actually, it's been renovated even more. So that warehouse is JJ's father's warehouse, and obviously it's just Ro's kind of like headquarters now. So JJ is, on the set basically. When he live streams, he basically turned it into a live streaming situation. So it has been renovated. There has been bathrooms added. It looks a lot nicer now. But the set stayed in Michigan. I don't think Andrew wanted to even look at that set and take it all the way back to Utah ever again, as far as how long he had to drive cross country for that. But JJ got to keep it. So obviously, he gets the better exchange of having that set, because that set is awesome. I still think it's amazing what we did with it, and now he can rearrange stuff. And I'm sure they're going to shoot some stuff on there. But, it just stays in Michigan with JJ, and, it's all good, because if anything, you know what? He's earned it. I mean, he hosted us. He put us up there, so I don't think any of us are going to argue, because none of us have a space to put it besides him. Like, he's the only one with the place to do it, so you know what? He can keep the set. It's all good. And if we ever go back on there and do live streams or maybe hang out in person, you might see that set again. In fact, you're probably already seeing it if you guys watch Ro. He live streams, I'm pretty sure, on that same set. I know he does green screen, so you don't see the stuff in the background, but you get my point. Let's see. Matt, damn, man. Sorry about that, Matt. That's really bad, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. Sorry for your loss, man. Um, and we all are here for you, man. So obviously, if you need anything, we're here. We'll definitely pray for you and your family. That's rough, man. That's losing your dad. That's a lot, man. So we're here for you. Wow. He says my father was able to see Keeper's Diary before his passing, and he sincerely liked it as well. It brought a big smile to my face. Damn, man. Well, we love you, Matt. Thanks for being here always, man. And we're here for you. So, that's not that's not an easy thing. I don't think that ever gets easier for anybody that goes through that. And I'm very happy that you're here with us, and you got a good support system. I'm sure you got great family and friends that are still around you, man. So, just take it, one day at a time, and just seriously take it one day at a time, man. And there'll be stuff for you to watch to kind of keep your mind off of it. Just try to stay busy. I know that's like a generic kind of answer, but it's true. Like, just try to keep going one step at a time, and just keep trying to, continue on his legacy, right? The way that he would want you to, and to keep going every day, not trying to get caught up in, some of the stuff in life that gets thrown your way that can kind of set you back sometimes, even outside of just a passing, just other trials and tribulations that we run into. But we appreciate you, Matt. And I really hope that turns out better for you, man. As far as just getting through that process, and just know that you have, you got people around you, man. So big love to Matt. And just you're awesome, man. So thanks for always supporting everything we do. I really appreciate that. There's a bunch of other RE channels and gaming channels out there that you could watch. So the fact that you're always back here, really, it helps in so many ways, as far as everybody returning and supporting what we do. We really can't do it without you. So, let's see here. By the way, the movie was awesome, and Wesker being in it was cool and unexpected. I've showed it to all my friends. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that. And that's the best thing you could do. Alexander says it's 115 right now in Phoenix, Arizona. Jeez, dude. That is scorching hot. That is scorching hot. I think Lucius was also saying, is there any talks of doing a full length or doing another RE-related project after Keeper's Diary? I haven't seen one negative comment about it. There's some, but it's honestly a lot more positive than we could have thought, because we know Resident Evil fans, how they can be, and that's not an insult. That's just how we are as Resident Evil fans, right? I should say I know how we can be, because we are fans that helped made it, and we are very critical when it comes to things being wrong or certain things, you know what I mean? So like, we wanted to approach it in a way that would make fans happy, So there's been talks of other stuff being longer. There's been talks of the next, thing that we might be able to jump on. So we'll see. I don't know if we'll be going back to Keeper's Diary as far as like extending that story. I don't think that's on the table, but again, there's plenty of options depending on what Andrew's vision is. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're here for you, Matt. Hopefully you're you're awesome, man. Always remember that. Perry's right. Always remember that, man. And just know that you always got us to jump in the chat, say what's up, you know what I mean? Always say hello, you know what I mean? We're always here to hang out and just play some games, take us away from some of the the everyday life stuff that is always in front of us, because that's what this has always been for me, an escape, but also obviously a hobby, but it is an escape, right? It's a place that we can come together and, just have this space of people that wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for these little things that we call video games, right? These little pieces of time, these snapshots of time. So it's a very powerful thing when you really think about how far some of this YouTube stuff has taken us. It's created friend groups like from all angles, like from my RE friends and family to obviously Perry. That was like my first online family that we were able to kind of like meet up, and then between everyone that watched his AOX show, Eli, Jeff, Jesus. Obviously Frank, his cousin Frank, who does Game Complainers with us. Like, it was literally like when we met up in 2013, that's when we started all like hanging out, once we were all able to individually hang out or meet up with each other. And then obviously that all extends into my Resident Evil family, even my brothers in the UK. It's just incredible. And then all of you in the community that are always supporting what we do and feeding back into what we do. You really do keep us going. Because like I even said it on, I think, the last episode of Game Complainers, like, we really would be doing this to nobody. Like, if it wasn't for people that, it sounds so generic, but it's true. We would just be talking to nothing, talking to a wall, right? So without people actually commenting and giving us kind of like response and like, whether it's praising us or saying, maybe you guys should do something different, or just little things, like, all that helps at the end of the day when it's not being toxic, it's being positive, you know what I mean? And we're not a toxic community. We're a positive community, and we're not like gatekeepers. I don't drag people down because they got into Resident Evil at a certain time, or I don't hate people if they like Welcome to Raccoon City. You know what I mean? Like, all this stuff is just media at the end of the day, like gaming media. Like, it's not that deep, really. You know what I mean? Like, we're passionate about it. We love it, but like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, you're not allowed on this channel because you like Revelations 2 or something. I love Revelations 2, but you know what I mean? Like, we built an empire. Even if YouTube closes down, we still built an empire. That's true, Perry. You're right. It really, those seeds have been planted. That's the best way to put it, right? It's like you kind of have to plant the seeds, let it grow, and we have people that will literally follow us anywhere we go. Which is what you want, because people come back for our personalities and our voices and our opinions and our, silly jokes and personalities and all that stuff. Like, that's part of it. So yeah, you always have to start somewhere. And we've literally been on YouTube since, 2006, 2007, on my other channel anyway, and then Perry's old channel. And then we all had channels throughout those eras. My film channel's from 2007. So it's like, we all started around that time where YouTube was a simpler time, but now we've have lifelong people that will follow us. So I'm very grateful for that. Sean, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Hopefully I'll see you at Steve's at some point. He says, hey, Anthony, just wanted to say I loved Keeper's Diary. Great acting, great directing. Really like the cinematography. Yeah. I couldn't agree more, to be honest. I don't want to keep, patting ourselves on the back, like, because that's not what this is. Like I said, but I am very, very proud of what I saw come from Charlie, come from all the other actors, the directing from Andrew, and then of course the cinematography. Being able to work under Nuji was amazing. Being able to work with him and see how he was able to maneuver that camera, because it already looked amazing on the monitors while you're filming, and that's before it's edited together, color corrected, color graded, all that stuff, and it looked amazing. And then when you see the final thing, you're like, holy crap. So yeah, I really appreciate that, Sean, so thank you. I traded in an old ass Fire Stick to Amazon for $3 plus 20% off a new stick, so 15 off. Oh, nice. Okay. So do they do trade-ins for the old Fire Sticks? Like, do they just, or were you like, oh, this is like, not working, and then you were able to kind of cheat the system a little bit? Or was it just like they actually are taking trade? I didn't even know they did that. Well, there you go. There's ways to cheat the system a little bit as far as like saving a little bit of money, and then, hopefully you can get those Fire Sticks are usually always on sale. let's see here. I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss these comments. Mark, this is from Mark Hickman, another member, says the film was really well done. I know that deadline really took a lot out of the crew. Hopefully future productions will be easier to manage. I hope so. That's the plan, Mark. I think it's like, I mean, those days were long, man. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody to work those long days, but when you're so in it, you know, you don't even really feel it, but I mean, you feel it at the end. That's for sure. I probably felt it every night when I was trying to get some sleep and I couldn't. Let's see here, but yeah, yeah. Hopefully the product, as far as easier to manage productions, yeah. I hope, you know, there's a little bit more space in the time so we can actually, like, you know, hang out and, like, you know, like I said, we didn't really get to like hang out. It was really just like working, and then we finally got a couple days towards the back end where we weren't filming to hang out, really relax. It was, you know, we had like a day of just like, what the hell just happened? You know, what was that? Which was nice. It was very nice, and we were able to, you know, we had a good lunch. You know, we had like a good day to like just kind of reflect, and that's kind of what you need. Let's see. AOX 20 massive party in 2026. That'll be cool, man. That'll be a crazy year, because not only will it be me turning 30, Resident Evil turns 30, AOX turns 30. Like, holy shit! What? Or turns 20. Sorry, not 30. that would have had to come pre-YouTube at that point. But you know, you get what I'm saying. 30, 30, and 20. Like, there's just some pretty big milestones, and then that will be what, the 13th year of Game Complainers. Watch it on RE channel. I like the shotgun look like a Winchester. Yes, that was the goal. Steam Gamer, thank you for that. Those kind words. I'm happy you appreciate it. Yeah, I think there was a lot of attention to detail as far as the obvious weapons and the cosplay. I know some people were coming at Jill's beret. I understand that that's been a thing. You know, that's kind of been going around, but you know, Fred turns. Oh yeah, Fred does turn 30, right? Yeah, he's just later in the year because he's in what, like December, I think, or November. Maybe I'm wrong. So yeah, he just turns. He's just pretty much like at the end of the year. So he's not really young. He's only younger than me by like, well, like 8 months maybe, give or take. So he's like, I know Fred's like seen as like the youngest in the group, but it's like, hey, he's only like, you know, he's not too far off from me. I mean, I'm still older, so I still beat him, but you know, it's all good. It's not a race to 30. If anything, we want to go backwards, right? But where was I? Oh yeah, the beret. Yeah, a lot of people were talking about the beret, but we didn't have anybody from the military there. Like, you know, some military knowledge that Andrew has, yeah, but like we didn't have someone to like, oh, it has to be like this, and you know, and but yeah, there's different little things that I know people have been talking about, but for the most part, it's been positive. Just watched Keeper's Diary. Oh, wait, let me read this. Perry says, yeah, when you select the new stick, there's an upgrade option. Oh, okay. So that's how they're doing that. It all goes downhill at 30. I know. That's what I've been hearing from you forever. So and many others for sure. So it's going to be nuts. Let's see. This is from Steve's Factor. Says, I just watched Keeper's Diary and I loved it, especially the music. Yes. The music was, I mean, such a great callback to Resident Evil. Like that's the one thing I loved about the soundtrack, because it really was a good nostalgia kind of throwback to the original Resident Evil, or remake, I guess, if you want to, have that. But we got Dwayne Merritt, who did the music, and obviously, that's it adds such much. So if I could talk today, it can add so much character to your film when you have a composer that gets the gets the product, gets the vibe that we're going for, and the way everything syncs up. I mean, believe me, like I saw the rough cuts when there wasn't any music. It was just kind of stand-in music, and it was good. Like I love the rough cut. It was good. But when you see the final, when you hear the final tracks, I mean, holy crap, they were so good. So yeah, like watching that final cut with the music, it adds a whole different element. Fred is December 21st. Oh, okay, damn. All right, Kyle's on the 23rd, but Kyle was born in 95, so he's actually older. Brandon was September, so he's, I think, the oldest out of my crew over here in Jersey. So yeah. Let's see here. I took an old 1080p stick from the old kitchen TV I used to have it, or used to have, and used that. Well, there you go. Yeah, at least you can save some money. Checking out Long Legs, says Angie. So Long Legs, I might check that out. I don't know if it's out yet or it's coming out, but I still have to see Maxine, so I might see that tonight. But yeah, Long Legs looks interesting. I paid $20 for that stick, so $5 to rent. Rent it for 6 years wasn't too bad. Yeah, that's not bad, man. Especially when you got to deal with this BS of like, oh, by the way, it doesn't work on the old, the Xbox app doesn't work on the old sticks. It's like, okay, now I got to revamp my arsenal of Fire Sticks. You know what I mean? So that's cool that you're able to save some dough after that. Quentin, what's up, man? Another member in here. I like that. I like that a lot. Like seeing all the returning members, especially some of the longest running members that got the blue badges. Look at that. The badges have been updated, guys. The emojis have also been updated. So if you click emojis, you can see that I actually have emojis of myself here, like that. And if you're a member, you can spam that as well. Let's see here. Fred's gonna have or what is this? Matt says Ant's gonna have a dirty 30 party. Yeah, it's gonna be a party. I'm sure. That'll be in February of 26, so there'll be some stuff going down, I'm sure. Fred must have some city miles on him. I'm 35, but I'll be 70 when Fable releases. Nice one. That's a good one, RWK. But yeah, Fred probably does have some miles. Perry says Fred has miles. Laughing my ass off. Kyle is epically. Yes, he is. He's still kicking the epic status over there. I'll be 30 in November, married and fresh off a honeymoon, playing Silent Hill 2 Remake and more to continue to climb my career. Most of the people I have talked to say their 30s are the best. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a give and take, right? I think the body stuff, like your body can feel a lot older sometimes, or you might not be able to do certain things or eat certain things or whatever the case may be. But it is true. I guess age is just a number in certain aspects for sure, because it's like you could still do a bunch of stuff you did in your 20s. There's just certain lifestyle things that you might have to adjust so later in your 30s it doesn't be such a hassle, But yeah, I mean, I'm still going to keep acting like I'm, the same dude in my 20s, I think, when I'm 30. So I could look at the number, but now I could just be like, you know what? I'm just going to do more of this or do more of that. Anthony Reset. Yeah, basically, right? Yeah, hopefully you guys like that. Literally in my tractor, says RWK. If I hold my body since a teenager. Yeah, man. So that's something we all can't escape, right? It's all inevitable. But I'm happy that again, I'm still able to do this, and yeah, who knows where we'll be that year, at least on the channel, content, all that stuff. Hopefully everything grows from there. Who knows what projects might be in the works? You never know. But yeah, so it's going to be a fun one. But yeah, so I'm happy that everybody really has been enjoying, Keeper's Diary and stuff like that. And like I said, this doesn't all have to be just about it, but I'm happy that I was able to read some of your replies, live. And you could still put in your questions in the chat about it and stuff. But yes, I do have So the one thing I do have here is the Wesker Shades that were used in the film. I was able to keep that as a token. What's up, Stevie Max? Says, hey, Anthony, Sam Raimi just signed a deal to make a new horror movie. Interesting. All right. What is he going to be doing? Is he just producing? Is he directing? Would be nice to get something RE from Capcom soon. Yeah. Well, so there has been some RE updates as far as like, not really full updates, but the Capcom Next event. We're going to talk about that in a little bit on this stream. That is something that is it's been being talked about because they announced the director basically. So the thermal paste monster. Wait, what? Thermal paste monster? What the hell is that? Wow. Is that what happens when you put too much? When you glob on the thermal paste? Now, just a pea-sized dot. They just dump the whole thing on it. But yeah, just trying to make sure I didn't miss any of these comments here. I think we're caught up. A lot of people were asking about, as far as like in the comments and just like what, the next project may be. Some people were mentioning the Dino Crisis short thing that's at the end. So the third Energy Crisis, another big critique is, the nose ring on Regina, the not red hair, all that stuff will be fixed when we actually work on that project. I don't know if that's going to be the next project that he's pursuing. I think there might be something else cooking. Hint, hint, maybe. I'm not sure. But it's not off the table. So I don't want to make it seem like, what the hell? They showed it and they're not going to do it. No, it's still going to happen. It's just a matter of when Andrew wants to do that. Again, I'm not the visionary here for these projects. A lot of it's Andrew Solo's films. So it just depends on how he wants to approach one project next. And then the team he assembles is completely up to him. I would obviously like to be involved in Dino Crisis as well. I would like to be involved in the next project as well. So we'll see what happens. My fingers are crossed that I can continue to work on these projects and gain experience that I want. So yeah, Matthew Webster with the $10 super chat. Seen The Keeper's Diary about a week ago. Awesome job to everyone on the project. It really was cool to see my favorite file come to life like that. It will remain as one of the best RE projects. 10 out of 10. Thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you. That means a lot, especially coming from you, longtime supporter, and I'm very, very grateful that people are considering it the best RE adaptation that they've seen that isn't even made from a Hollywood film standpoint or Hollywood studio. So that's a big compliment. So we really appreciate that. And yeah, directing, apparently it's supposed to be a combination of Misery and Castaway. Interesting. What was the last horror movie that he directed? Because he's just been kind of like coasting in the producer role. I know he directed, I think, the first episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead. And he's a producer on that. Let me actually look it up. I mean, I have my computer right in front of me, right? So I might as well look it up. Because there was Drag Me to Hell. I think was that the last thing that he... Oh, well, he did Doctor Strange. I'm stupid. But that wasn't... I mean, that's not like a horror movie, even though it had horror themes. Oh, okay. So the last movie he directed before Doctor Strange, that was a horror film, and it's not including Oz the Great and Powerful, which he directed in 2013, was Drag Me to Hell, which isn't a bad movie, actually. I actually don't really mind it. I know it's like, I don't know if people like it nowadays or hate it. I don't even know. But yeah, he's been producing like a motherfucker. I mean, when it comes to like how many times you've, done classic movies, he doesn't really need to direct anymore. I'm happy he still is. But yeah, I see that here. It says, yeah, he's, 'Send Help' is what it's called. 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 'Send Help' is what it's c So send help. Have you ever made thermal paste grilled cheese? Oh my god, that's disgusting. Perry started Game Complainers Game Studios so we could finally get some games made. Oh man, that'd be crazy. Yeah, that would be amazing if we had the resources and the money for that like reinvesting into a business like that. Because then it's like we could actually like put our stuff on the block, so to speak. You know what I mean? Have some games made, but that would just take so long and to be so much of a money pit. You know. Keeper's Diary was the best live action RE adaptation, 100%. Oh man, thank you, Quinn. That's very kind. You guys don't even have to say that. You know what I mean? If you tell me how you really feel. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, I appreciate the kind words. Like I said, I'm very, very grateful. And you know, I'm happy that it turned out the way it turned out. You know, I know Roe is streaming right now, so they're doing a marathon. So I know that might be also why I could only get so many viewers in here right now. But if people watch this in the archive, just know, yeah, I read all those comments like that, and it's very, very humbling. So, yeah, third energy crisis, that will be happening at some point. Let's see here. So as far as Capcom, I rewatched it right after and then sent it to all my friends and family, so that means it's good. That's amazing. Thank you. It really helps just sharing and stuff like that. Perry, you can make a game that rips off a power wash simulator where Fred cleans gutters. Oh man, that'd be funny. But see, we that could easily. I feel like that could somehow be made in some kind of indie game. I know we give a lot of indie games crap, but some are good, and I do like indie games. But as far as like the overabundance of them, yeah, I understand. But that's true, right? It wouldn't take much. But thank you, Quentin. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing and letting people know about it, because that's the. Excuse the yawn. That's the best way to spread it, you know, amongst the fans. And you know, a lot of people say, you know, oh, you know, if I don't have a lot of money to support it or back it, that's completely fine. You know, sharing it helps just as much. So, Fred is DLC in it. Yeah, you got to pay to get Fred. He's like you got to work up the ranks. Yeah, no, that stuff's awesome. So thank you for that. And the Capcom Next event. So that also did happen. I did a video talking about the, you know, little sliver of news that we got. It was not really anything crazy, but a lot of fans were excited to know that we now have the Resident Evil director confirmed by Capcom for the next Resident Evil title, whether it's a remake or it's a mainline title. I'm assuming it's mainline, considering he mentions what he mentions. But Koshi Nakanishi is now the director. If you don't know who he is, he was a designer on Resident Evil 5. He was a creative director on Mercenaries 3D. He was director of Revelations, and he was director of Resident Evil 7. And he pretty much just said, you know, he didn't really know, you know, where to go from the Resident Evil 7, I guess, in the main line. So it makes me, from his quote, he says it was really difficult to figure out what to do after 7, but I found it. So that point right there, breaking that down, is mostly just saying, hey, you know, I didn't do 8. I didn't really know where to go after 7. And now I'm back and, you know, I found it. So that, to me, right there is saying that he is a director of 9. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it could be a remake, but, like, what, you know, he has done a spin-off in the past with Revelations, but I don't think he would be saying this about a spin-off. I think he's saying this about a mainline game. I think that is more of an obvious thing from his statement. And then he says, and to be honest, it feels substantial. I can't share any details just yet, but I hope you're excited for the one day that I can. So hopefully in the fall we get something from this director or some kind of announcement. But yeah, it's all possible with how things are lining up, right? Because the summer events are kind of done, and exactly, found it meaning next chapter. Yep, exactly. So a lot of people feel a certain way about this guy because some people might feel a certain way about 7 Revelations. Those are the games he actually directed, so his visions were either received very well or not very well. I think RE7 it's still a good game. It's not a bad game. I don't think it necessarily is in my top Resident Evil games, but I still think it brought the franchise at least back to a more like grounded kind of roots. The story was because of the characters. The Bakers I wasn't crazy about, but the setting was there. The house was there. The keys, like it was bare, like more bare basic stuff, where then Village started to pump it up again with the RE4 action and the Lycans and all that stuff. So if there's anything to what he said here, it's basically maybe a throwback to the 7 style, where it's a little bit more simple, and hopefully an extension of what 8 was, as far as like, if they still want to add the Duke, if they want to add, or not the Duke, but a merchant system, right? And the remakes are still going to, tag along. So I think RE7, while it did help the franchise, it did sell a lot. I think RE2 Remake sealed the deal as far as saving Resident Evil completely, because RE7 was kind of still a slow burn. I mean, it sold pretty quickly, but Capcom was still trying to get its footing. And with RE2 Remake being done, when it was finally done, not just the We Do It, but when we finally saw it come out in 2019, I think fans were ready to just the ships were sailing at that point. So, but we'll see what he brings to the table. I'm very excited, and that's the only like bit of Resident Evil news we actually got from the Capcom Next event. Let's see here. Perry says, I actually have a fun sports game in mind, not typical sports, if you know what I mean. Oh, interesting. Back from the Dead, what's up? He's in that Kular. What is up? Another member in the house. He was a developer for RE5, so do you think he could possibly direct RE5 Remake? Probably not just off of that. I mean, he was a designer for RE5, so I don't know if he would be just on to the next remake as well. I think if he's doing 9, they'll probably get someone else to do 9, because the only reason is, Matt, is I think they're working on them around the same time, and obviously you can't be in, how can he possibly be in 2 places at once? So that's not going to happen, but or it depends on when they do 5, right? If they do 5 remake later, then let's say an RE1 remake, not sure, but if they did, then they could get the same guy, but I think he might be busy with RE9. Cody Gossman, what's up, man? Good afternoon, another member joining us, thank you. RE7 was a good game, just not a RE game. I like the S.T.A.R.S Umbrella storyline more. Law enforcement against big pharma playing God. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing that I was missing was that. And again, it was supposed to be the soft reboots. They didn't want to implement all the old stuff right away until the very end, where you see Blue Umbrella and you're like, what the hell is that? Why does Chris look like that? All that stuff. So it's like they kind of pulled away from it, but then they threw it in at the very end just in case it would be successful enough for them to be like, all right, we can continue this now. But then the Not a Hero DLC just wasn't good. Even though if it was free DLC, it didn't really explain why Chris is with Blue Umbrella, why he would ever associate with something called Umbrella. And then they kind of just, hijacked that. I don't know. Maybe he found his tick. Yeah, that's what he found for the next game. The developers for RE5 were actually the same people who made the RE1 remake, if y'all didn't know. Yeah, I did hear about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure the team, they had very similar teams. Like Capcom had a lot of people leave and come back and leave again. But Capcom never had just like a Team Silent like people over in Konami, where it was just a team of people working on Resident Evil. There would be a lot of people that would leave and come back and stuff like that. But there'd be returning people. I just know the current pattern has had 2 remakes released before the next mainline game, though I do feel RE9 is next. That's what I feel like as well, Matt. Hopefully by the fall time, Capcom will just come out and say, you know what? Here is a Capcom event. Yes, there's going to be Monster Hunter. Yes, there's going to be Resident Evil. Boom. Because that's going to be at their next event, both of those games. I guarantee you when Capcom has their next event, Monster Hunter, the new one's going to be coming out in January, so they got to show more of that in the fall. And Resident Evil, if they do announce it for next year, they got to show that. So I think it lines up a little closer to the fall time. Rather have a full game on Chris. Chris needs his own game alone. Yeah, that would be cool to see Chris again alone. I agree. I don't think you always need it to be co-op or 2 people, you know? And Chris is one of my favorites right next to Jill, so to see him back in his own game would be cool. Or to see Jill and Chris back, I'll take that as well. But I would like to see either Chris or Jill by themselves, because Jill really hasn't been by herself since Revelations, and even that she was with Parker, so it wasn't really by herself. So the last game that Jill was by herself was 3, and the last game that Chris was by himself with was, if you don't count Code Veronica, because that's like half his game, it was Resident Evil 1. You know, so it's kind of nuts. RE5, he was with Sheva, it was co-op, so there's that. In my opinion, the End of Zoe DLC is top tier and best of that game. It's been a while since I played End of Zoe. While I did play it, oh my god, these cats.
I heard it through my headphones.
Mugen is so loud.
Mugen! Come downstairs.
Is the door open?
Yes.
What the hell?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I have to yell at him to come downstairs. Mugen!
Yeah, someone's coming to get him. Chris's time is now. No, Leon is still his spotlight. Leon has been in enough mainline games, I would say. Even remakes, I mean, it's like, damn. I don't hate Leon. It's just, you know, like to see Chris. Be honest, I want a remake first, then give us 9. Yeah, a lot of people are thinking that too, where we could get a remake before, but we'll see. Chris needs to bring sexy back. He's got to bring the boulder punching back. Gang's talking. What's up? R9 needs the horror RE7, the horror of RE7 and the gameplay of RE4 remake with Jill starring. That's not bad. What do you think? A lot of YouTubers getting disc rot on all of these sudden back your stuff up. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, that's kind of in the news, right? Yeah, a lot of people are getting disc rot from these old DVDs, Blu-rays, and Perry has been saying it for a while. Can't really lie there. Back your stuff up if you can, whether it's a home theater, PC, get a hard drive. If you're able to rip some of this stuff, it's good to have a backup. I think, Blu-rays and 4Ks, I haven't had any issues with them, but I think some DVDs, look, Blu-rays can still rot in time, but DVDs are more of a older piece, and a lot of Paramount-specific DVDs have been getting disc rot, so I don't even know if I have I don't know if I have an example. Like, this would be an example right here. So this is Friday the 13th Part 2. Oh, Paramount. Okay, so Paramount's one of them. Warner Brothers and Sony Blu-rays are confirmed to have rot as well. Okay, so it will be on some Blu-rays. But yeah, whether it's this old DVD here, which is Paramount, right? So like this still works for me, but how long will it work for me for? I don't know. It's spotless, but disc rot can be on discs that are spotless. That's the point. I know I was muted for a second. I had to talk to somebody off camera. Sorry about that. As much as I love Leon, they're using him too much. Nine needs Jill as the. Yeah, I think it's time for someone else to shine. I've seen some PS4 games with Rot. Yes. Yeah, I think it's yeah, it's just time to back some stuff up, you know. I think a lot of people, it just depends on how you store them, where you store them. Uh, it's inevitable, even if you store them perfectly fine. You know, so I think maybe as far as like, you know, how long they can last, I don't know if there's ways that you can, you know, make it a thing that happens less often than, you know, whatever the case may be, but yeah, I think Code Veronica will happen eventually. Gang's talking, no problem. What if they took the Assignment Ada title from the OG RE4 and made it its own game? It'd be like the Revelation series taking place between RE4 and 5 and would show what Ada does after 4. See, that's interesting, but now we're kind of in a spot where, you know, we saw RE4 remake and we see what Ada does at the end, you know, holding the helicopter pilot at gunpoint, which never happened in the original. And so I think they might be saving that for maybe what happens in RE5 remake. I would imagine so. But if they didn't explain what happened, I do agree that would be cool. But if they're waiting to, like, you know, do that until they get there, that, you know, to that bridge to cross it, then we might not see any. But I'd always like to see Ada get her own game, to be honest with you. Ada's awesome. They used chemicals to cut costs. People are buying sealed movies with rot. Discs look clean, but the chemicals already ruined the disc. Yeah, and they also have this, like, this was happening with Scream Factory, or Scheme Factory, if you want to call them, in honor of Dead Pit. But they would like, you know, they get a case or whatever, and then people would open it, and there would be oil all over, like grease all over the case. And I think it has something to do with the chemicals that they're using. And also, they kept saying there was something called off-gassing, which doesn't even sound like it's real. They kept using that term, like, oh, it's just like a combination of the chemicals. And it's just like, what are you guys doing? So, yeah, I think maybe the newer stuff might be a little more cheaper. Cheaper, more cheaply made, and just, I guess, lack of care. Like, there was someone that had a sealed, this is on the Dead Pit show, I think it was I'm trying to remember who was on the show. I forget who was on the show. It might have been Subjective Perspective Collective. That's a mouthful of a name, but he's a really cool guy. But he had a sealed Scream Factory, like, I don't know why I keep showing this DVD, but you know what I mean. Sealed Scream Factory case, and then there was a tear on his cover. It was sealed, and there was a tear on his cover. It's like they can't even get, like, the covers right before the disc. Jason Goes to Hell replacement won't rip all the way. Rotted already. Damn. Yeah, hopefully mine are okay. I know I still have mine somewhere in there, but yeah, I got all those back in 21. Chemicals on games, no bueno. Yeah, well, I mean, it's how they manufacture these discs. They take, you know, they cut corners. Interesting, Matt. I don't know. You know, they could have Ada in RE5 remake. That could be, you know, or if she is in RE5, she's, like, you know, far away in the background. You never know what they can do with her. I think they left her open. If they don't add her in RE5 remake, then we'll see her maybe in an RE6. We'll see. I do like the prologues. I agree. I that one thing I missed in Separate Ways was her kind of explaining her mindset and, like, that personal connection in the beginning of each chapter. But I will say that I do think Separate Ways was a perfect $10 add-on to Resident Evil 4 remake, and it was perfect. So besides those little things here and there, I loved how it filled in the gaps. It does feel like another scenario, and I did really enjoy that. So, what's up, MILF man? We acknowledge you. Hold on one second. As we acknowledge MILF man. Oh, now he's off the chair. Did you hear the rumor I just created right now that RE4 Remake is getting more DLC this October? If only, right? They just keep extending RE4. See, a lot of people wanted that with RE3. They were like, are we ever going to get another director's cut? Does it have Wesker DLC? Yeah. It's actually just the start of RE5. We just don't know it. Yeah, I hope so, Matt. I think that'd be an awesome spin-off game. Like a lot of people want to see Revelations come back. Imagine if we had a game with just Ada, and her like spy tools and stuff like that. That'd be cool. Okay, what is up with the blue badge, which means that you're in like the top, like there's only maybe like 6 or 7 people with blue badges, and Kay's one of them, has been supporting LTRE for 34 months. Absolutely incredible. So thank you. LTRE, the only everything RE channel. Thank you, Kay. And I'm very happy to see that you liked Keeper's Diary as well. I have been reading your comments, so thank you for that. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, my fingers are crossed. Like, hopefully we actually get something, an official Resident Evil announcement. I know a lot of people are kind of like, we want new information now. But it will happen. Now, as far as the other thing that we kind of got revealed even further than just the trailer that they put out online, the fact that Ethan has 2 games but Ada has none is a complete joke. That's honestly true. Got a new 12-hour job. Going to be missing some of your videos in mornings later, bro. No problem, Kular. Well, that's a lot of work. That's no joke, Kular, but thanks for always supporting, and no worries, man. Even if you can't watch stuff live, leave a comment. Even if you can't leave a comment, if you don't have time, it's all good. Just hit the like button on the video, and all this stuff will always be archived and posted. So if you can't catch it live, it's all good. No worries, man. I know all you guys work your asses off, and I appreciate that you even support me with part of that money that you make. You know what I mean? Like, that means a lot, because there's a lot of subscription services and, bills and everyday life stuff. So the fact that anyone would sit there and support me for 34 months or a month or a week or a day, that really means a lot. So thanks. I have Keeper's Diary saved and liked on YouTube. Hell yeah. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate that. Very, very happy that you enjoyed it. Very happy that most of my community enjoyed it. I mean, that was the thing. Like, I was reading the comments on it, and I would see a lot of you guys, like, just commenting, and it was cool to see that crossover. Because obviously all these RE fans watch all the RE channels, I'm pretty sure. So there's always crossover there. So that was really cool. But yeah, we with the Capcom Next event, the other thing that we got was Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Not Dance Dance Revolution, but Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. DRDR, as they're abbreviating it. But I'm excited. I'm a big Dead Rising fan. And, this event was really focused on Path of the Goddess, which was their other game, and Dead Rising. Now, Resident Evil 9, of course, we did get an announcement for the director, but that was about it. So I know most people wanted to see, they were chomping at the bit to see anything RE. But for Dead Rising, I wasn't mad. I got the press release. They sent it out. I covered all the screenshots. I actually should go back and do some of the gameplay stuff and break that down a little bit. But yeah, I definitely am excited for Dead Rising. I loved 1 and 2. I think they are really underrated games in the Capcom catalog, but I think they might have got played out by the time we got to the 4th one. Now, there's some people that were commenting on my video saying, dude, what are you talking about? The 4th one's great. Then there was people replying to that comment saying, no, it's bad. So I think it comes down to I just got to play it myself. I got to play maybe Dead Rising 3, jump on the 4. Is there a new horror game on Game Pass? Asks Stevie. I'm not sure. Maybe Perry knows a little bit more about that. I'm not sure if of the newest titles on Game Pass, but they're always swapping titles in and out. But yes, so Dead Rising, it looks fantastic as far as it's all in the RE engine. It is a remaster, not a complete remake, but it almost is in a way. But it's a very beat for beat remaster. They did upgrade the AI improvements. They upgraded the gameplay mechanics as far as you can move and shoot while you play as Frank now, which is a game changer as far as boss fights. Different things you can cheese or not cheese if they fix it. The AI being fixed is a real help, because saving people is how you get upgraded. How you update, Frank and everything. There's a bunch of Resident Evil costumes. You can walk around as a Licker. You can walk around as Leon. You can walk around as Chris. You can walk around as Street Fighter characters. Like, it comes with a bunch of costumes and a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, I remember playing the demo of Dead Rising over and over and over again. Remember back when demos, back in the day, PS1 demos, absolutely. That's like my heart right there. That's a time capsule of my life I'll never forget. But even demos in the PS3 and the 360 era were so crucial to selling the game. And that sold it. You had a limited time, but you kill the zombies. There's a shop called Jill's Sandwiches, and it was just the little first section, but that was so cool. Like, that was so cool. And I probably still have that downloaded on my console. And I got it August of 2006, and because I think it did come out in August of 2006, I'm pretty sure. I remember I bought it, and at first I wasn't good at it. I was like, man, this is hard, Yeah, August 8th, 2006. So I got it August of 2006, and yeah, it was a very challenging game with the case files. I didn't understand it at the time, like, oh, I got to be here at a certain time. Like, I didn't get that, right? But now you can actually change the clock too. You can move it like forward, so you don't have all that time in between and waiting for cases, which I guess is cool if it gives you the option. And you can manually save. Like, they're upgrading a lot of stuff on Dead Rising, so I really liked Dead Rising 3 before. It was pretty bad. Yeah, that's what it seems like. I mean, look, I gotta give it a chance and play it. I've streamed 1 and 2 on this channel way back when I just started streaming. So I'm probably gonna go back and revisit 1, and then also, play 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. I don't know if I'll have time to do it between now and when it releases in September, but let's just say that I have my friend Dave, who, if you may or may not remember, he was on the Dead Rising streams all the way back in 2016, 2017-ish, and we did Dead Rising 1, 2, and Case West, and he was on the mic with me, and he will probably be jumping on again. He was telling me he just put in for his days off. So September 19th, I will be streaming. That's when the game takes place as well. So, perfect timing. Dead Rising was the game that made me buy a 360. Yeah, I mean, it really was. I mean, I had one at the time already, but I know a lot of people were getting it for Dead Rising, and then later that fall, it was Gears of War. So, and if people didn't get it for it, they eventually ended up playing it because they're just like, oh, it's a game where you just kill zombies. And I still have my Final Fantasy VII demo for PS1. That's amazing, man. I still have it as well. I have I have a bunch of them. Still Wakes the Deep is a new horror game on Game Pass. There you go. Thank you, Dr. Evil, for clarifying. So, Still Wakes the Deep. That is the game, Stevie Mac, that is on Game Pass. So I'm gonna have to check that out. Mark, fellow member Mark, says, I'd like to explore more exotic Locals and RE5 Remake, Exploring the Village, Catacombs were some of the favorite parts of the game. I think RE5 was my first 360 demo. Yeah, man, that was so back in the day. I made a Japanese Xbox Live account to play that demo. Now, I didn't know at the time you could just burn it to a DVD-R. I found that out later, so I didn't have to do all that. But at the time, I was like, I have to play this demo now. And Japan got it first, and I made a Japanese account, signed in, downloaded the demo, and I was playing RE5. I vividly remember playing it for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, this is Resident Evil 5. Like, I am playing RE5. Like, it was such a just mind-blowing thing. And the demo was also co-op, I remember. So, yeah. I feel like I got to download that demo before the store goes down. My favorite was Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop edition on Wii. Yeah, that was another edition. And that's the thing. I know they put out this edition a million times. They remastered it in 2016, put it out on the new consoles, gave it 60 frames boost, but the graphics were still the same. They didn't improve anything. So this being in the RE engine, I'm happy, Let's see here. Matt says, watch JJ play Still Wakes the Deep. That game is pure anxiety horror. Shit, I'll pay to watch you play and see your reaction to it. Interesting. Is it really like that crazy? Like, I'm not opposed to streaming new horror on this channel, You know me. Like, yeah, we're Resident Evil here, but like, I'm going to be streaming Silent Hill 3 at some point because that won the poll, so that's going to be probably at the end of this month. And then, all the new stuff coming out I'm going to be playing. So Silent Hill 2 Remake, day one stream for me. But Still Wakes the Deep. Interesting. I just played Crow Country. That was one of my favorite games this year. Small independent horror game. That's what we just did. Small independent horror film. Small independent horror game that is a throwback to PlayStation 1 horror. And I really, really enjoyed that. John, Nuji, and all of you guys were just telling me, like, you got to play this game. You have to play it. You'll love it. And it's probably my game of the year, to be honest with you. Okay, it's a new type of horror. You'll love it. Okay, well, I really don't have an excuse now. So maybe I'll be able to stream it, like, this week maybe. Or, honestly, maybe this week. Because it's on Game Pass. I don't got to, I already have it, so... Who knows? Is it a long game, or is it just kind of like your typical like 6 hours, 7 hours type thing? I don't know how long he was streaming it for, but usually the indie games are, a couple hours, give or take. I mean, Crow Country was pretty long if you do all of the secrets that you can unlock. But never opposed to any horror games. So anytime you guys have suggestions and stuff, I always read them. I always try to look them up. Because, I like having new content on the channel that's here. It is kind of like the thing on a Scottish oil rig out in the sea. The gameplay is kind of like Alien Isolation at times. Okay, so it's kind of like you're getting chased. Can you defend yourself, or is it like running and hiding? Which I'm not against, Like, I think I can play some of that stuff in moderation. But, like Outlast was fine. But never really played the sequel. Alien Isolation I loved, but that's because it was Alien. "46 hours from what I heard." Okay, that's still not bad. Just watching it gives you anxiety. It's kind of long, 5-6 hours. But JJ fucked off a lot, so it could be a lot shorter. Dr. Evil is right. It's running and hiding and solving some Okay. It's more of a sneak and hide, no combat. Okay. That would be a first for me on this channel. I don't think I've ever played a like run and hide, because Outlast I played but not on the channel. Alien Isolation I played but not on the channel. So all of those are potential games that I can always start back up and play again. This is good. I like playing new horror stuff. I mean, look, we don't have Resident Evil stuff coming out, so I do need other survival horror playthroughs that, like I said, I want to make the streams that I do, this is more of like a regular thing, doing these hangouts a couple times a month. I can't talk today. A couple times a month. So, but also like the games that I play, I want it to be more spaced out, but not too spaced out. I want to still be, relevant in the live streaming space. I still, rely on the live streams as well. And for engagement and everything, interactions, donations, things like that, that helps me out a lot. But I want to keep it interesting and make the live streams more of events. So they're not always going to be every single, it's not going to be 4 or 5 days out of the week. I think that concept that I was trying for a while just initially didn't work. It wasn't really as productive with my time. Where some streams I would stream for 6 hours, 7 hours, and then you only make, so much. That's fine, but at the same time, I have to think more productively. Like if I do a video or a couple videos in that 6-7 hour time, it just makes sense. Like, because if you can make videos that can essentially make enough ad revenue that balances that out, like you got to think of it when you're doing this for work, it's a little bit more. You have to think more analytical and what works. So yeah, but basically, yes, I'm not opposed to streaming new horror games along with my Resident Evil series, the Dice Locks, the Master series, all that stuff. That's all happening still this summer, so that's not going to stop. All right, sorry, I had to sneeze. Finished RE7 again, says Matt, and it's still just okay. It falls off after the Old House segment and Marguerite, so I'm hopeful RE9 can stay strong the whole way through. Yeah, by the time you get to the boat, I'm kind of checked out. If you got Game Pass, give it a shot. It's pretty good for what it is. Yeah, I do, so I might have to check it out. Horror fan, there he is. He says, congratulations on the on the film. Watched it and very much enjoyed it myself. Thank you. Well, there you go. I'm happy we made Horror fan very satisfied because I know that he was really looking forward to it, and hopefully it scratched the RE itch for you, Horror fan. The oil rig itself is your weapon. Swimming through oil and stuff, seeing some creatures like from The Thing. Okay. That sounds like it's up my alley, Matt. Everyone be well. I'm off to finish studying. Good luck, Kay. Thank you for stopping by and the kind words and literally being a member for 34 months. That's absolutely crazy. So, yeah, Keeper's Diary and the live streams, LTRE doing good in 2024. Still waiting for the next live stream. Yes. Yeah, so there's probably going to be there's going to be a couple more this week. But again, I want to just balance out, some VODs and stuff like that for the next couple weeks. But yeah, there's going to be a couple more this week. I haven't quite decided on what I want to jump in first, but I could jump back on Leech Hunter. I know that's a pain to watch sometimes, but I can do that. The Leech Hunter stuff does okay. Like I people show up to watch it, and that's cool. I know it's not the most entertaining thing, considering I keep failing and retrying, but first I failed the nerdery test twice. Pretty bummed out. It's the next step in my career, so anything R related really helps. Yeah, man. I mean, anything. Anything that gets released, at least by what we're trying to put out there, is going to be, hopefully making people satisfied, and hopefully doesn't make people feel like they completely wasted their time, watching it and stuff. Got in here late, but are you going to be involved with Dino Crisis fan and film tease at the end of Keeper's Diary? Nothing's confirmed yet as far as my involvement with Dino Crisis or the Third Energy Crisis, whatever you want to call it. But I would love to be involved if I can be, whenever they decide to pull the trigger on, pre-production and stuff like that. I know things have been planned and, like things have been talked about. And even that, like I was supposed to be there for that shoot actually. So the one piece of Keeper's Diary, I was actually there for the whole entire Keeper's Diary process and filming every single scene. But I was not there. Me and Nuji were not there for Dino Crisis because that was literally shot at like 2 a.m. We went home, or we went to the Airbnb, or we went to the Motel 6 at that point. Which I know people hear like Motel 6 and they're like, oh, that's scuzzy. But no, it's actually a nice motel, believe it or not. Like, I mean, it was recently renovated, but it was actually nice. But we all went home because we knew that. So, like, I didn't actually tell this story, so I'm going to tell it. So, I didn't know Dino Crisis was happening. Like, I had no idea. Like, I was sitting there and I'm filming, or I'm sorry, it's before, it's like pre-production, like day 0, if you want to call it, right? So the last day of just building, the painting, everything, right? But the night before, I'm sitting there, Andrew he's out grabbing stuff at Home Depot. I'm sitting there with Rob Noor, who is an executive producer or associate producer, one of them, pretty much one of the main producers, executive producers on there. He was awesome on the set, and because he really helped like a lot. But I just kept hearing, like the text notifications was that little beep 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 that you hear in Dino Crisis when someone's calling you. And then I kept hearing Andrew's phone go off, and it was the dinosaur like roar, from Dino Crisis, like when you click start. And I was like, something's going on here. Like something is like, what is this? You know what I mean? And then like I'm in the back room cutting up wallpaper, like measuring wallpaper. And then Rob Noor's like, oh yeah, because the next thing, that Andrew wants to do is Dino Crisis. And I'm like, really? It's like Dino Crisis? They're like, yeah, it's going to be a post-credit scene in this movie. I had no fucking idea. So the one day we're shooting, and, it's one of the days out of like the busy-ass week that we had, and we're about to go home, and all of a sudden we just see Hannah show up, who played Regina in that short, and we're just like, who the fuck is she? Like, that's not Jill, you know what I mean? And she's in like the Regina kind of colors, and we're like, oh, it's Dino Crisis. And originally we were going to be sitting there shooting that thing after we shot the rest of the stuff during that day. And me and Nuji were like, fuck that. Like, we were just like, that is like, we were just so beat. We were whooped. And Andy and Andrew, and I think Hannah, because Hannah's the only like other actor in that trailer, I think they just stayed back and shot that. I think they shot it with with one. It wasn't the red Komodo. I think it might have been shot with a DSLR, and they shot it. And I didn't even see it really until they kind of put a rough cut together, in, I guess, overnight, or like whatever he did on his laptop. And I was just like, oh wow, like that came out really cool. So. Yeah, that was actually the one little bit that I wasn't there for. As far as the actual Keeper's Diary, I was there for 120% of it, really, when you count some of the stuff before that we had to do. But as far as that little sliver, that's the one piece that I wasn't there for filming or slating. So very, very interesting. But yeah, so that's a fun little story where I heard like rumblings of Dino Crisis. I'm like, is there something going on here with Dino Crisis? Like, what is this? And then I was right. Like, I had a hunch. Like, oh, they're hinting at this Dino Crisis stuff. So, yeah, I mean that is huge. Again, I don't know if that's going to be his next thing that he's jumping into right away. I just know that it is on the table. It is going to be planned, and I know that people were saying, oh, why isn't Hannah's hair like the fiery red, and why does she have a pierce? Again, it's just a short. So it's all stuff that will be fixed if we get a chance to do it. Because again, I would imagine that if they were to do something like Dino Crisis, they would have to ask for money again and see if we can get a, maybe a little bit bigger of a budget to, um, work on effects, because you're dealing with dinosaurs. That's a lot. So, but yeah, hopefully Resident Dr. Evil, I will be involved in Dino Crisis. They already abandoned Extra Prime. Well, that's not surprising, Stevie Mac. That's literally just over a year of it coming out, which is like, I don't know, that's bad. Thank you, Dr. Evil. I appreciate that. Replaying RE5 again. Forgot it had a similar file as the Keepers titled Village Youth Diary. RE5 probably has the best files among the sequel trilogy. I would agree. I actually really did enjoy the RE5 files. Kind of underrated. Because RE6 was kind of but RE5 files, like I would rank them probably maybe 4 or 5. Are kind of in the middle. 4, 5, and then 6. But it could be 5, 4, 6. But I would say 4, 5, and 6 because I did really like the Luis memos. So, sorry, last message was confusing. Was trying to say that I failed a test to become a notary for my career, so the channel and the short film really uplifted the mood. Oh, okay. While you were down, damn man. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But like I said, our goal is to always make something accurate and to make something entertaining to make fans happy. So I'm happy that it can let all of you guys kind of escape, and just have a good time. Despite other things that are out there. Surviving local in the village. Yeah, they had some interesting ideas for those files. And same thing with the viral campaigns. I did a video on that. It didn't really get much views, but I think it's titled Piece of Resident Evil 5 That We Forgot, because it is, I don't know. Maybe I should have titled it better. Maybe I should have, made a better thumbnail. I don't know. But it was a fun video to do because it was a nice little snapshot in time when they had those live action Resident Evil trailers for Resident Evil 5. And they were actually really cool. They were tying into the game, and, it was a different time where they would actually spend the money to do that shit. Nowadays, they would not do that shit at all. But okay, so just double check this here. Let's see here. But yeah, if there's any other comments or questions in the chat, I'd love to answer them. Probably be on for maybe 20 more minutes. Love the intro to the Keeper's Diary, the overhead shot of Arkley, the lighting striking outside the mansion, the crackling floorboards, very good stuff. Also, the iconic music. Yeah, I think the music really did fill everything together, especially because of how important music is in Resident Evil. You have to have a good composer to capture that side of it, and the vibe, so Yeah, I'm very, very, very happy. Yeah, it's I think it's for any. I'm trying to think here. What is? I was trying to pull this stuff up, but I'm trying to see if I can actually get his YouTube channel here. I think he has one. Hold on, sorry guys, because the our composer Dwayne does have a YouTube channel, and I think he's actually putting up the soundtrack on his website, so people can actually check it out. I don't know if Andy has a full soundtrack thing yet, but oh yeah, here it is, right here. Perfect, dude. This is killer. Okay, sweet. This guy. All right, shout out to Dwayne. He did our music. If you guys want to hear the full OST, here's the fucking link right here. I didn't even know it was actually out. Boom. So if you guys want to hear the original soundtrack for The Keeper's Diary, it's originally composed music inspired by Resident Evil, and it's all time stamped. Prologue, Mansion theme revisited, Guardhouse, The Reveal, Captain Wesker theme, somber interlude, Mr. Death, Itchy Tasty, end of the beginning, special credits, final credits. There you go. Yeah, so that's what I was looking for, because I remember Andy was saying that he was going to post it. He literally just posted this a day ago. So there you go. If you guys love the music in Keeper's Diary, give Dwayne a subscription, give him a shout out, and let him know in the comments how awesome he did on that, because, yeah, that was really cool. I'm very happy that he has this up. And I don't know if he has it up on his website to purchase it, but I think there will be a way to purchase some stuff. So if people want to, give him a little something for it, they can. But yeah, there you go. It's free of charge. You can listen to that. But yeah, yeah, it was fun. It was just such a fun thing to see come together, because you see stuff and kind of like what Andy was saying, like you become so numb to it because you watch the cuts over and over again, as far as like the first cuts, but then once you see the final product, you're like, okay, like all the final touches. This might be blasphemy, but when the scene when the Umbrella Soldiers storm the mansion, the hard techno rock music sounded very reminiscent of the Paul Anderson movie. Am I wrong? I could see that. I mean, I could see how it could be on the edge of the little action side of stuff, like the yeah, like I know what you mean. Definitely sounds very similar to something you would hear in those movies. I don't know if that was on purpose when Dwayne was composing the music and how he interpreted it, but yes, I definitely got some of those vibes from that as well. The Mr. Death, I guess, song, as it would be called on the track list. So, yeah, the Mr. Death track, I could see that being a little more Paul Anderson, I guess, inspired. Or I guess if you want to call it Marilyn Manson inspired, because he did the soundtrack on that stuff. So, very, very interesting choices, right? So, not specifically the Marilyn Manson song from Resident Evil, but I'm pretty sure he did the soundtrack, or the full soundtrack on it. I don't know if it was all who actually composed the OST here? Was it all Manson? I know the theme, but okay, Marco Beltrami and Marilyn Manson did the Resident Evil 1 OST. So there you go. So both of them. So yeah, kind of has like the industrial metal kind of vibe. Yeah, for sure. Actually, I still need that on CD. That would be a good CD to have. I know people say what they want about some of the songs, but There's some good tracks in there, man. Some really good tracks in there. Manson and another guy did it together. Yeah, love the soundtrack from RE02. So not a knock at all. Yeah, man, no, not at all. Did not take it as a knock for sure. That's definitely. I'm happy that it kind of gave you some of those vibes from 2002. Carlos, what is up, brother? Good to see you in here. Another fellow supporter and moderator. I actually wanted to check something on. I don't know if this is even still available. Oh, shit. Okay. Biohazard. Scott Belcher with the 22 months. That's a lot of months of supporting. So happy that you are with us for that long, man. Thank you. How's it going, Ant? Glad to catch the back end of the podcast today. Love the Keeper's Diary and what you all achieved with it. Thank you, Scott. And I think it's just safe to say that we couldn't do this without any of you. I mean, this is literally, we raised $55,000, which is 0.01% of the budget of the first Paul Anderson film. 0.01. So in the grand scheme of Hollywood projects and produced things, not very much money on a Hollywood scale. Even on an independent scale, it's pretty small. But that chunk of change made it possible. And that's all because of all of fans like yourselves that, kickstarted it. Or I'm sorry, it was an Indiegogo, but you know what I mean. The Indiegogo campaign, you put money towards it. If you couldn't afford it, you still shared it out with friends. You still talked about it. We still made it a conversation piece that people were like, what is this? Well, what are they doing over here? It brought attention to it. And then when we finally got it funded and it was like a greenlit, so to speak, it all just seemed like a blur. Like the ball just started moving. And I'm very, very happy that, people really enjoyed it. And Scott's given back to the community, gifting a membership to JP. Thank you, Scott, for that. JP, you are now a member. You get custom badges, emojis. You can vote on polls, get exclusive content, and all that good stuff. So thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. And, so I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for just everything, because we really could not have done this without any of you. And I'm nothing without all of you. So, and Scott's gifted another membership to Cam M.A. It's good old Cam, which I don't think Cam is currently in the chat, but next time he comes on, he'll realize that he got gifted a membership, or he'll get an email saying that he got gifted. That's what I like about it. Like it sends people emails. So even if they're not in the live stream, they're like, oh shit, I got gifted a membership. So they always get notified to some degree. But yeah, I'm just very, very grateful and humbled from the response of Keeper's Diary, honestly. And, I don't know. It's really been hard to find a lot of negative stuff around it because a lot of people do like it. And that's just not me, patting myself on the back, so to speak, or ourselves as a team, because we all did it together. But it's just good that it's an overwhelmingly positive response. It's better than the opposite, right? So try to set the bar for these RE fan films, or just fan films in general. Scott Belcher gifting a membership to McBrew. Thank you. I still need to watch it. Capcom Unity, you got to watch it, brother. You got to watch it. It's only, not including credits, it's only like 13 and a half minutes of your time. But when you have time, watch it, put it up on a big TV, turn off the lights, and enjoy, That's what I would say, because it's, I think you being an RE fan will really enjoy it. What sort of typewriter was used in the production? I used to type on an electronic typewriter back in the early 2000s. This was an old one from, I think, 1920 or 30, I think Andrew said. And we used real ink ribbons, and that was that was really Charlie typing. So all that stuff was actually typed up. So when you had the paper and everything, it had that that effect on it. So yeah, very cool. I appreciate all the support from the members of the channel and Ann as well. And Perry, gotta go. Finalize arrangements for my father. I love you guys in the channel. We love you, Matt. Just stay positive, man. And just know that we'll all be with you on that day. You know what I mean? So if you need to reach out to any of us or jump in a chat, or it's going to be hard, man. So I can't even begin to imagine. So we love you, Matt, and we're always here for you, man. So hopefully you get through the rest of the week, and I hope that the following week will bring better days. You could start to build a little bit more. So you take care, Matt. You take all the time you need, man. I'd watch a 4-hour version. Well, thank you, Capcom Unity. Hopefully you can really pull out some fun throwbacks, from this, because it wasn't just supposed to be a fan servicey film. We had some stuff in there that's winks to the audience, but it's a fan film. You got to have some of that stuff in there, but there's got to be more than just that, So I'm happy that you'll get a lot of that from the 14 minutes. The guys all casted as Wesker looked the part and did well, even though he had a small dialogue section, and the hunter was dope as fuck. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate hearing that. Yeah, we actually had, so here are the Wesker glasses that were used on the set that Oscar Mansky was using. Commence with the procedure. Now, the voice wasn't Oscar Mansky. The voice, when he says commence with the procedure and good, very good, seal it off, that was all done by the original voice actor of Wesker from the first Resident Evil, Pablo Kuntz, who we were able to become friends with the past couple of years, and he was able to voice Wesker. So, loved and enjoyed Keeper's Diary. Thank you for all who worked and donated to make the project possible. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yes, Scott is right. Keep your head up, Matt. We're here for you, man. And the old white desktop from 1998. Yeah, and a lot of that was like Facebook Marketplace, apparently. Like Andrew's mom was able to find a lot of stuff from Facebook Marketplace really cheap. Paintings we hung up on the wall, like old paintings, stuff like that. Stuff from the 90s. Because a lot of that stuff, even like old computers, go for a lot of money. So nowadays, when you're looking for that stuff, you have to be careful because you might get ripped off if you don't know, what you're looking for or looking at. But we were able to find they were able to find a cheap one ahead of time. So, yeah, those little things are fun. When you're doing like a period piece like that, and you got to have stuff that matches, even though it might seem like a very tedious process, and you got to dress the set, you got to have, we didn't even really have specific set designers. It was literally just like, everyone chipping in, right? And but that's just the way independent projects are. If we could have hired carpenters, if we could have hired people to build that thing a week before we got there, that would have been ideal. But it's all money. I mean, where would that money be coming from, right? So, you always have to start somewhere. I think the next project may or may not have more practical sets. I think it will. I don't know if we're going to be building or anything like that. I don't know what the project will entail, but I think that might be some of the mindset is if we do it, it might be a little bit more practical sets as far as actual locations that we, pick as a group to be like, this fits this scene the best. This fits, these other scenes the best. So there's probably going to be a lot of jumping around with some locations in the next one if it's a bigger project, because that's the thing. This is a more isolated, contained kind of project, right? Because it's in this file. But if the next project, whether it's Dino Crisis or something else, and it's expanded, there's going to be more moving parts. You know what I mean? It's not just going to be in a keeper's room or in one room, which sometimes you can pull off, like how we did. Like we're able to kind of like shoot the one part in one room, but then when the narration happened for the file, we were able to show those different locations of the mansion or show different locations of different spots where the keeper was in his narration. So Devin's room says, "Hey Anthony, I found I found you through Dead Pit streams, and I just wanted to say I've been loving your content. Oh, nice. Devins, thank you, man. I appreciate that. No, Dead Pit are awesome. Those guys are such a killer group of people. Definitely inspired me. When I was on YouTube back in the day, and I mean 2006, 2007. You know what I mean? Dead Pit, like old school. Back when they were on YouTube, but they were mostly on their radio show online. But I found them through YouTube, and the fact that I can call those guys like really cool friends, and between Dead Pit and Garrett, like super nice dudes. Still haven't met them in person. I met Garrett, but I haven't met CK and UB. But I hopefully will one of these days, whether it's at a horror con or Mahoning Drive-In. I know that they've talked about that. I always like going there with my friends. So maybe one day I can actually, be able to get them a beer and just say thank you. You know what I mean? Just because like they really did open the door for a lot of these horror channels and horror podcasts. They were literally the first to do it in a style of a radio show. Because back then, nobody really would say podcast like that. I guess some people would, but radio show was what they always called it, right? So, yeah, Dead Pit have been around forever. And the fact that they came back in 2020 because of all this, stuff of us, just kind of being locked away and not being able to do stuff, I'm happy that them coming back was one of my favorite things I've seen on YouTube in the past, 10 years. Just to be able to go in their live chats and hear them talk about horror, have other people on talk about horror. Like, I will never put over Dead Pit enough because they've really paved the way for a lot of people on this platform as far as the horror community. So really appreciate that. And I'm happy that you took the time to find the channel. He says, I'm new to Resident Evil, but I've always wanted to start, but was overwhelmed where to start. I finally said, screw it, and just start playing it. I've been playing the very first one, and I'm having a blast. That's awesome, Devin. So hopefully you're playing it on maybe a console, maybe you're playing the PC version that recently came out. But see if I'm a member now. I didn't update my card. Oh, you are. You're back. You got your purple badge, Carlos, so you're back. So yeah, you are still in the top 6 or 7. There's only 6 or 7 people that have blue badges that have been supporting me for as long as you, Kay, Dave, Quentin, Jackie Boy, Thunders. All these guys have crazy support, crazy months under their belt. So no problem, Carlos. You don't have to worry. But yeah, Devins, yeah, look, it's never too late to come into the franchise. I think that's what I love about it. I love seeing people like yourself come into the franchise and you're not yeah, I don't really know. This is kind of you're giving it a chance. Because a lot of the older style games, you might need patience. You have to learn some of the controls, right? It just depends on the era of gaming that you were around or that you came from. But it's always great. Yeah, always awesome to see. Exactly, Matt. Always awesome to see new RE fans, whether it's new games, old games, you coming in from other channels that's all part of it. It's really just I feel like the horror community, what I love about Dead Pit is because the horror community bleeds really well into horror games. I feel like a lot of fans that also are into the horror movies love the horror games. I've obviously talked to a bunch of you about horror movies and stuff on these chats before, which I love to do, and I love to watch, and I love to review. So I think it kind of works hand in hand. So all the Resident Evil games are pretty good depending on my mood, but Resident Evil 2 original, I could play it in any mood. Yeah, I think there's always games that I can go back to. Anything in the original trilogy, remake from 2002, even Resident Evil, I could throw Survivor in there, even though it's not the best game ever made, but I still like it. Outbreak 1 and 2 because it supports online. I mean, it's just so many. I can't even begin to list how many I could just go into and just play, and it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the mood, it doesn't matter the time of year. It just fits. So yeah. How are you playing Resident Evil 1, Devins? Are you playing it on a PlayStation, PSN? Are you playing it on the Good Old Games PC download? I'm curious how you decided to approach your first playthrough of Resident Evil. Because yeah, there's plenty of ways to play it. So yeah, it's it's funny to see like the different waves of like when people get into it, because I think sometimes when there's like a bigger boom for Resident Evil like there is now, where the remakes and the main lines are really, pushing people to kind of go back and see the other stuff. But to start from the beginning, that's a very it's a very wise thing to do, I think, because you get to really see where it started, and then you get to see where it progressed instead of kind of like going back and then playing the vanilla version with 10 controls, which I don't mind at all, and I want to try the PC port after to see the differences. Oh, okay. So you're playing on a PS1, I'm assuming, or PS3 from the PSN store? Yeah. The PC version on Good Old Games it's basically the PC port from the 1997 version. They just brought it over on new computers, so the cutscenes still look the same. They are uncut, but the graphics look pretty much the same. There are mods that you can use that do improve said things. But if you don't want to get into that, you don't have to. That's why the Good Old Games thing is cool, because if you're not really into the modding, you don't really have to get into it. You could just play it as it is. I think 2 and 3 are coming out later this year. Yeah, you could plug any controller into the Good Old Games PC port, and you could play it. It could be Xbox controller, it could be keyboard and mouse. Devins, the one thing you will love is you can skip door times on the PC version. You don't have to wait for the load time. So every time you have to sit that door, it opens, then it closes, and it's loading the next screen, because that's what it is. The door opening is simply a load screen, which some people still don't know to this day, but that's why it was there. It was to load the next room. And the PC version doesn't need that much time, so you could just, boom, skip the door time, and you're good to go. So I think you'll like that. I know they're working on some patches for the current PC release. They might already be out, I think. Good Old Games is pretty good with fixing that stuff, but yeah. Hey, Anthony, would you ever do a RE series where you play all the RE games on the hardest difficulty without any infinite ammo? Man, that would be a challenge in and of itself, right? Yeah, like no infinite ammo. No like, extra unlockables. Potentially, yeah. Maybe there could be I don't know if I would do them all in a row, or I might just do them out of order, but maybe we could do something like that, like a hard mode challenge or something. I'm not opposed to that. I always very much like the Master Series, where, we've done the Legacy Series back in 2019, 2020. And I know that time is very special to many people, because obviously there was a lot of BS going around that was, crapping on us outside of the world. There was nothing we could do but just watch content and, do what we have to do. You know what I mean? Just play games. We didn't know what was happening with our jobs. We didn't know what was happening with life. Things out of our control. So I think that, the Legacy series, I know is very special to most people because of that time, that snapshot in time, because it was before and after the world kind of shifted forever. But that was a different series, you know what I mean? It was a different time. It was us leading up to Resident Evil 3, which was my favorite remake of all, or I'm sorry, I don't want to say that. My favorite original Resident Evil game of all time is RE3. The obviously, the remake itself, not my favorite remake of all time. I still like the original over the remake, but that's beside the point. The main point is that me doing the Master Series, in a way, is not to capture that. I understand. I'm not trying to reclaim any of that, attention from the Master Series. Specifically, is me trying to approach each RE game with some kind of stipulation that is voted on by the fans. That does include hard mode. That does include different things turned on. So, I guess I'm kind of trying to do that, but not always on the hardest mode, like the hardest mode, right? Like if there's veteran, I can't just play veteran, for example. I got to do professional. Like that could get voted on. So I think if anything, the Master Series is more just like, giving the fans more of a hand at the wheel, so to speak. So it gives you guys a little bit of a different perspective. The next one is going to be coming up soon. It is going to be Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which is my favorite RE game. So there's going to be some interesting stipulations. So we'll see what you guys pick. Starting to learn that these are multiple ports of these games. Yeah, there's multiple ports. The original Resident Evil 1 is iconic as it is. A lot of people play the director's cut version. So I'm curious if you're playing the RE1 OG, or are you playing something called director's cut? Director's cut isn't a bad version, but there's two versions of director's cut, and one of them has different music than the other. So, let's see. The crappy picnic, exactly. Oh, Robert, I was just about to read your comment, and you retracted it. Definitely repost that, man. All with one life. Yes. Yeah. If I did that all with one life, Reeve, yeah, like if I die on a hardest mode, then I get set back to the beginning, that would be painstaking. Sega Saturn, everyone. Oh, yeah, the Sega Saturn version is one of my favorites for Resident Evil 1. I love that Saturn version. I love the double tyrant fight. I love the battle mode. I love it. I have my Saturn right over there. I have my Saturn version over there. Very fun. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I think I just got an idea for a video, so might have to write that down. Had Chris and Wesker rivalry never happened, do you think Jill would have been more of the central character given that she was the main character in 2 of the first 3 games? That is a good point. Yeah, because it's like she encountered Wesker, she hates him, but I mean, like the Chris and Wesker rivalry was pretty intense. So yeah, maybe it wouldn't have happened the same way if they didn't set that up, you know? Are the shotgun and handgun that Nemesis drops in the original really that much better than what the game originally gives you in RE3 Remake? Are you talking about the D-Eagle? The Eagle? That's the handgun he drops. And then as far as the Western Custom, I mean, the Western Custom is awesome. The Western Custom is probably one of my favorites. They kind of brought it back in RE4 Remake as the Skull Shaker or Skull Crusher or whatever it was. But they didn't bring it back in RE3 Remake, which kind of sucked. But I don't know if it's better than the... Are you talking about if it's better than like the standard handgun, like the S.T.A.R.S handgun? The S.T.A.R.S handgun that Jill has, it's a lot better. I'm talking about the original drop. I'm talking about the original items he drops every time you drop them. Are you talking about like the items in general? So I think the items that he drops, all those weapons are just a lot more better throughout the original. The remake had drops, but it was simply ammo. I love the fact that it gave you a reward for killing Nemesis on hard mode. So the Desert Eagle, you have the Western Custom, you have the assault rifle, you have the obviously the first aid drops that you get. Those are all great. The fact that they all had 2 different parts and you know, I don't know. I just think that like the original shotgun in RE3 Nemesis is good, but the Western Custom is just faster, and you can aim up and still get headshots. But she holds it kind of like a handgun and just like, you know, reloads. So it's really cool. I really hope the director for RE9 actually gives us a new game plus this time, unlike RE7. Yeah, I think with RE8 and RE4 Remake's New Game Plus editions, like, I mean, I know RE3 Remake and 2 Remake had a similar thing too, but, you know, hopefully they continue that. I think you have to. I mean, you had it in Village. You can't really get rid of it. But, I mean, stranger things have been done, but I don't think that they'll completely botch that idea. Damn, Robert, what were you going to say about Keeper's Diary? I saw your comment for a second, and then right before I was about to read it, you retracted it, so I don't know. But I'll give you guys like 5 more minutes, and I'll wrap this up. And I gotta see if I can... Hope R9 is not in first person. I think we might get a third person Resident Evil. At least that's what I'm guessing. But I think they could also easily be like, oh, it's third and first person. So, but maybe they'll stick with a third person. Did making the Keeper's Diary give you more of an insightful or insight into the struggles of filmmaking and in turn respect for what a film like Welcome to Raccoon City was able to achieve? That's a really good question. Six Blade Knife 86. I think personally that, yeah, it definitely gave me an insight to how I already knew from a certain perspective, being a filmmaker myself, how hard stuff can be to get done. But on this scale, this is the biggest scale project that I've ever worked on, and it's a smaller indie project, right? If you really think about it, and you could look at how many people were in the crew in the credits to really kind of get a number. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it definitely gave me an insight to some of the struggles, and some not just the struggles, because struggles are always there. You're going to show up on set. There's going to be things you need to have an answer for right away, because the answer that you had for them an hour ago wasn't the same answer. We were kind of talking about this on the podcast with Andy and Nuji, even the one with Roe, where sometimes everything goes wrong every 10 seconds and you're just like, all right, we just have to move on. And, that wasn't really the case with this one. It was mostly just like the building was bleeding into the filming, so that just needed to get done. But I would say it did make me appreciate, what magic you can pull out when you have good people there in good faith, and you have all Resident Evil fans that all have an eye for what should be right, what should be wrong with this scene or this setting, right? Because we're all looking for those imperfections. We're looking at things like, we are fans, so like this doesn't really look right, or oh, let's change that. There were aspects of that. But I definitely understand how things don't get done even more now, because if you don't have people that are really like all in and willing to jump in that circle with you that whole time, it could be a nightmare. The project can fall apart because some people have egos and some people have, that wasn't the case here. It was mostly just like, hey, we've all never done this before at this capacity, so let's make something happen. And I think you have to keep the smiles and the laughs going, even when things aren't going that well, even when you're tired as fuck, right? Like we'd have we'd make fun of like the accents around the area, like, oh yeah, bud, easy there, bud. Oh, don't you know? Things like that, right? Like it's funny. It might be offensive to some people, but to us it's funny because, we're out in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin / Michigan, all this stuff. And it's like, it's just funny, right? So like you have little jokes that you say to keep people in spirits, and like it's just funny, but you got to stay serious. And then so it's just like keeping people on the level of like good vibes, positive vibes all around, good interaction between the crew, the actors, everyone's on the same page. So if anything, it just gave me an insight to, yes, struggles, but mostly like what magic can happen when you have everybody on the same page, and yes, working with people that are taking it seriously, like a professional, that's a huge, like crucial thing, because we're not just like, we're just RE fans and like, we're here now. Like Andy said, like, that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Us RE fans coming together, that's an amazing thing. Us RE channels coming together. But you gotta put your all into it. You gotta step up to the plate and do something. Exactly, Quentin. It's just like similar to working in a group in an office setting, and it doesn't matter. It's like you all have to keep it together, keep each other in check, make sure other people are okay. Be like, hey man, how are you doing, man? Like, do you need a little break? Like, what are we doing? Sometimes there wasn't room for breaks. Sometimes we had to crunch, as people say in the gaming industry, right? But there was no complaining because we knew what we had to do. We knew these days were going to be very busy. And to answer your second part of the question, the struggles of making, and in turn, the respect of what a film like Welcome to Raccoon City was also able to achieve. In my opinion, I think Welcome to Raccoon City had so much more money than we did, and they did less in certain ways. While the sets looked pretty good in some aspects, I like the mansion, right? I like what they did in there. That looked awesome. Chris, that scene with Chris shooting the zombies in the dark, that's a really cool scene. Some of the music in there wasn't even that bad. But I think that it just showed me that if we could do that with 0.01% of the first Paul Anderson budget, then it makes me really understand why, or not under, sorry, it makes me not really understand why they can't grasp certain things with that amount of money. But it's because you have certain people that have egos, that are in charge of studios, that are in charge of producers and everything, that have these suits that call these shots. We don't have that. There was no big entity over us telling us, oh, you can't do that, you have to do that. No, it was literally all of us had the same vision of what this should be and what this should look like, right? And even if we disagreed on certain things, like, it got squashed pretty easily. It wasn't like, oh, now we got to stop and it's this whole committee thing and we got to submit it. Like, that's not what this was. Like, we didn't have someone being like, all right, send us notes. What did you do today? Like, nobody, no. That it was like, all right, we're on it. So that answers the second part of the question. He also goes on, this from Six Blade. He says, yeah, I suppose respect was the wrong word. More appreciate, I think I meant. I also a lot of studio meddling can ruin a film. You lads did a good job. Thank you, man. Yeah, no, exactly. That's kind of what I meant to say. Yeah, like meddling, like just weird, psychotic meddling that they kind of do with these projects that end up like, why do we have to have Itchy Tasty written on a window? And there's no file, and the chick screaming Itchy Tasty. Like, you're like, what is that? That's definitely just an idea that someone had of like, oh, that's in the game, let's apply it here. No, like nothing at all. Like it was. Do you know how much footage was recorded for Keeper's Diary in total? Don't know the total amount, but a lot was shot that was not used as far as certain shots, not so much scenes, but there was a lot of material that was not used. And I only say that because Nuji did a really good job at getting close-ups, wide shots, everything, right? And the wide shots were incredible because they actually really captured a fixed camera angle perspective. But Andrew Salo made a creative decision to cut around some of the imperfections that he thought were on the set. Not necessarily what was wrong with the shot, but let's just say, he wasn't a fan of the floor that, he didn't like the floor he picked, but I don't think in the end he really liked it and how it looked on camera. So certain things are going to get cut that, maybe someone like us that were looking at it be like, oh, you could have still maybe used that. But like, again, it's his vision. It's Andrew Salo's A Keeper's Diary. So obviously he's going to make the final decision on that. And I understand that because that's how I am when I edit my projects. When I'm editing stuff where it's my film and I'm cutting it, I'm going to be looking at those imperfections, not other people. Some people will be like, what do you mean, Anthony? That looks great. And then I'm like, no. And so I do kind of relate to Andrew on that level because that's literally me when I'm editing stuff. So there was a lot of stuff that was just cut for the sake of not looking at the, floors or the little things that he might have saw that were a little, there was amazing shots of Jill kind of moving around the hallway. We had these amazing panning shots. We set up the dolly and everything. And only so much of that was used because, again, it's just the way he wanted it to flow or the way he wanted things to, connect. It really, editing is really like a puzzle. It's literally like a puzzle. It's like a hardcore Resident Evil puzzle, and you're trying to wrap your brain around like what makes sense and what doesn't. And you're trying all these different shots and what, we got a lot of takes. I mean, that's why you do a lot of takes. It's why you do a lot of shots. It's why you have a shot list. That's why you have, you need stuff to work with. Exactly, Anthony. It's all about teamwork and getting it done. Exactly. Where were you at in Wisconsin? I forget the spot in Wisconsin, but for Michigan, it was like Iron Mountain, Michigan. That's like the area that we were in. But we were like literally so close on the border. I'm telling you, you would drive 5 minutes and you're in Wisconsin. Like, that's how quick it was. So, we were pretty close. And we ate at Culver's, and it's all that good. Devin's room says, I got to head out, but it was nice chatting. I'll definitely keep my eyes out for more live streaming. Thank you, Devins. Thank you so much for coming over from Dead Pit. Thank you for, giving RE a chance, subscribing to my channel, but also diving into Resident Evil from the first game. Exactly. Too many, there's too much. If there's too many cooks in the kitchen, it never works, right? And that's what happens with Hollywood. Basically threw in as many random Easter eggs as they could for Welcome to Raccoon City just so they can use them in the commercial to get people. Exactly. They're literally like trailer like points. Like, I think they literally film that stuff and they're just like, oh, this would be great for a trailer. They're not even thinking about the context within the film of how it doesn't make sense or it's not really an effective scene. And not only that, but it kind of ruins it because if not, not to say that Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City was ruined from the trailers, but I will say this. The song didn't help. I don't, What's Going On is not a bad song, but it's the He-Man song. And I don't know why you would use that in the trailer. And, even then it's like you used a lot of these throwaway scenes, like you said, in the trailer to sell it when it just, if anything, it made it less bearable, But yeah, so that's just kind of this is some really good questions. So thank you guys for bringing some of that stuff up because yeah, I figured this would be a good way to, live stream, finally talk about Keeper's Diary live after it's been released because I haven't really been live. I've just been posting the podcast that talk about Keeper's Diary, but here we are and it's done. So again, can't really thank you guys enough for the love, the response. Believe me, we've all of us collectively, all of our Resident Evil channels have been reading the comments, seeing what people think. So I don't get what 4 Non-Blondes has to do with Resident Evil. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who picked that. Again, some of these trailer options just have me scratching my head. What I'm curious about is how many new RE fans that showed up during RE7 and never played RE1 and now will go back and play it after seeing Keeper's Diary. Well, I hope so. And that's the biggest thing. We've seen comments where like, oh man, this made me want to dust off my PS1 and play Resident Evil again, or it brought me back to that time. That warm nostalgia 90s feeling was the vibe that I think all of us were trying to capture with this project and the feeling. And I think if we did that then we did what we set out to do, and also just make Resident Evil fans say that was the best, like set a bar for not only Resident Evil fan films, but just fan films in general, like off of a IP already that is existing. Like hopefully this sets the bar. Because like I said, as it stands, 170,000 views. That's incredible in just over 8 days. Right next to this channel, I mean, Keeper's Diary is one of the most successful things I've been a part of in my life. So, yeah, it really does mean a lot, and I don't say that lightly. Like seriously, I'm just some dude from South Jersey that likes to make content for you guys, and the fact that I ended up helping with this, and even if the future holds different plans for the future, I'm happy with what I already did. I think there's still a lot more that I would want to achieve and do for myself personally as well on this channel, on my film channel, with these RE projects as well, of course. But, you never want to stop digging. You want to keep digging, keep finding inspiration, move at the speed of inspiration, right? As it comes to you, good old Dirty Jers. It would be great if a large studio saw it and maybe learned a few things. That's our goal. Maybe they will see it and maybe they will say, what the hell? Or in a perfect world, they'd be like, yo, we want these guys to work on our stuff, but even that can get a little muddied, as much that would be a dream come true. Once you put yourself in a corporate entity like movie studio, there's a lot less control. And I think at least with these indie projects that are fan funded, we have that control, right? So that's something to keep in mind. But I just want to say thank all of you for the amazing support. I really can't thank you enough. I want to thank Game Complainers for the 5, Perry, Matthew with the 10, Kay with the 34-month member, Scott with the 22-month member, and 3 gifted memberships. You guys are awesome. And just thank you for all the love and support on Keeper's Diary. And I'll probably be back tomorrow with another live stream. And probably tomorrow. I would say probably tomorrow and Thursday for live streams. So stay tuned for that. Much love. Thank you all. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Check out LTRE on all the socials, merch down below, and all that good stuff. And check out Keeper's Diary, a Biohazard Story, if you have not yet, on the Residents of Evil. And where the devil inhabits the forest of the Pine Barrens. Exactly, right? Yeah, not too far from the Pine Barrens, so you never know what movie can come out of that idea, right? So, but thank you guys. Take it easy. Check out Keeper's Diary if you haven't. Much love, and I will see you guys tomorrow with another live stream playing some Resident Evil. Take care.